All right. What's up, everybody? We're now live. Welcome to the House of Horrors. I'm joined by guest Steve Rudzinski, writer, director, and actor of Carousel, as well as Meowie Christmas and a few others part of that trilogy. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
And thank you for
Cool.
joining us. So much fun. I'm glad you decided to stop on by. Let's see. I got some questions here. We'll wait till people start coming in. But so, how you been doing, Justin? Vincent?
Yeah, we're a long day at work. I just got off about 30 minutes ago, so got off in time.
In time to stop on by. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So let's
Playing
see.
it close to the chest with our time.
Yeah, wasn't planning on doing that, but it just way it
All right.
happened today.
Let's see. So it looks like someone's here. If you want to say hello in the comments, welcome.
Oh, pulling up my notes. Excuse me.
Yeah, I got some notes here. Well, before I guess we get to the fan questions, you doing anything interesting today, Steve, or watch any movies, or?
Today, not so much. Helped my wife buy a car. And by help, I mean she did most of the work. I literally was just there for support. And got myself some Taco Bell. Hopped in the pool. Not too much for me to do right now while the editor's working on Carousel 2. So I'm
Nice.
just waiting.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm just about done with that script there, about 40 pages into it, but I'm really enjoying it. Can't wait to see it on screen.
Oh, good. I'm glad. For the most part, the page is on the screen, but there's a few things that got changed.
Yeah,
I think
I'm
for
sure
the
there
better,
is.
but
Yeah, I'm sure stuff might get changed. That montage looks like it's going to be funny, just like the first one. If people out there like those montages.
oh yeah, that one was important for Aline and I. We wanted a father-son montage.
Okay, yeah.
Any chance the pizza guy could coming back, or
Joe is dead.
is he dead? Wow.
Joe,
Well,
I mean, the movie clearly showed Joe get his eye fucked very slowly. Very
Slice and dice.
slowly. It was Duke chose a poor weapon, but Joe did end that scene laying on the ground, no longer speaking or doing anything.
Well,
so
I was wondering because that character was the only one that I'd seen in the movie that had a possibility of maybe surviving. I was thinking that's why I'd asked that question.
What about the smoking guy that was outside? He wasn't too.
Well,
injured.
yeah, I guess too. Yeah. I
Oh,
was thinking-
Patrick's here. He said, "Shut up, lunchbox."
His name is Larry.
Yeah, I like that,
Call me
little,
that.
that Evil Dead lunchbox and all those different lunchboxes he had. That was awesome. Oh, hey, Josh, Hobbs, how's it going?
Nice.
So, welcome. We're got Steve here. We were just talking about his death scene in Carousel. Bashback, Levac. I don't know what that. So, but yeah, speaking of his weapons and stuff, I did have a question. Like, you know, he's got his ninja stars and axe, and they just randomly appear, but
Yes.
they don't really have an explanation. We just assume as a viewer, he's a magical unicorn.
That is a very specific homage to how Jason Voorhees would always pop out of nowhere with something new, with no real reason as to why he has a. My favorite go-to example is in 7 when he kills Bernie Lomax with a giant 8-foot-long spinning saw blade. And I don't. Why would that be anywhere on the Crystal Lake property? I don't
Yes.
know. But Jason has a Jason cave, I guess. So that's how I wanted to treat it, because especially when writing the script, my line in the sand with Helene was, I only want the horn to be used once and for the first kill. We ended up using it twice, which is fine, but like that's what I wanted. I like every scene. I wanted to use something different because that's a slasher to me. It's boring to me when the slasher uses only the same thing every time. So I wanted there to be a bunch of weapons. And Duke is a magical unicorn. So whatever the limit of Duke's power is up to Duke. He just doesn't know it yet.
Ah, okay. So he's got some more magical powers we'll be checking out in the next one, huh?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see. So, you want to ask anything, Vincent or Becky?
Everyone Must Die. I was wondering, what was your inspirations?
For Everyone Must Die, oh Jesus, let me take an alcoholic drink for that one. Well, that was just a case where I was kind of fed up at the time with a lot of indie horror, which would take like 50 minutes to set up and explain the backstory of a killer, and then finally get into the killing in Act 3. I kept seeing it over and over and over again, so I wrote Everyone Must Die, which is not a very good movie for those watching at home. I'm not ashamed of it, but you're not missing much. Where I wanted to write a slasher film that was the complete opposite, where we get like 10 minutes of explanation, and then the rest is like, oh, why is this guy killing us? Who fucking cares? He's killing us. I don't give a shit where he's from. I want to fucking go. That's my concern right now. So that was kind of the concept of just like, let's do a slasher movie where the killer doesn't matter. There isn't a backstory. There isn't like an icon. There isn't a big motivation. It's just happening. How do we deal with this?
Right.
In terms of like more the main character, I will say that I always forget his name, but the guy from Friday the 13th Part 4, the one that was hunting Jason, he's killing me! He's killing me!
I can't remember his name either.
Yeah.
But I thought it was the concept of someone purposely hunting Jason for revenge was super interesting, and I wanted to see that in a slasher. I'm not going to claim Everyone Must Die is the only one to do that. Hell, Duke in Jason Part 9 was hunting Jason again, so it's not like it's a one-and-done concept, but I kind of wanted my slasher film to focus more on that type of character, where his sister was a victim in the previous movie, and now he's hunting this killer down for revenge. So it was basically just those two ideas that I kind of had separately, and then I just went, yeah, fuck it. Just do this. And, it's a movie.
Yeah.
There's moments where it really works, and there's moments where it really doesn't. It was my first real feature, and, I just wasn't a good director yet. I did okay on Slasher Hunter, which was actually before, but Slasher Hunter was also just a short. So,
do you feel like the butcher knife has been overused in movies a lot?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? That's actually not fair. I think the butcher knife is overused visually, but outside of Halloween, when I really sit down and think about it, I can't think of that many kills that use the butcher knife that much. I know Chucky used it a bunch. I know Jason has used it, once or twice, but I don't think it's used as much as it feels like it's used, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. His name was Rob.
Rob, yeah.
Hob said
And
it
welcome,
first.
Mike. So I guess since Mike's here, I'll go ahead and ask you his question that he sent. He said, what movie that you directed was the best experience? And was there any time in any production where something might have happened that just said, that's it, I'm getting a job at McDonald's?
Hold on, let me just make a note here. All right. So to answer the second part of the question first, literally every day that I make a movie, it is also always stressful and frustrating, and I don't know why I do this, but it pays the bills, and it's what I'm good at. You could ask Scott Lewis or Lean Isley on the set of Carousel 2. There was at least one point every day where I just said, why the fuck do I make movies? Jesus fucking Christ. To answer the first one, the best experience, honestly, probably Carousel 1. Because Carousel 1 was relatively speaking, a really laid-back shoot because, we had multiple locations. We had the Miss Lawrence's home. She's only known as Laurie's MILF in the first film, but in the second film, she's named Miss Lawrence because she's back. And for those of you paying attention, that doesn't mean that the kids' names are Larry Lawrence and Laurie Lawrence. Like the amusement park went really well. It's just a small park where the manager let us have free reign of that park, and we didn't have to worry about anything. We didn't have to worry about like being careful or not getting into certain areas. They're like, yeah, do whatever the fuck you want. It was so laid back for us being on like an open property where there were customers. They let us be in charge. And then the majority of the shoot was just in that one really nice house that we rented. You know, the owners were on vacation for a couple of weeks. We paid them, used the house, and that meant all the actors could sleep there because the house was fucking huge and it was air conditioned and it was quiet. You know, it was in a neighborhood, but it was far away from anything else, so it was super quiet and pretty much nobody bothered us. At one point, we were screaming outside at 2 a.m. filming a couple of scenes, and I was just like, "Let's fucking get this fast," because it's a neighborhood. But no one cared. No one came out. No one complained. You know, we reached out. I knocked on every single neighbor's door myself, like 2 days before shooting, to say, "Hey, we're using that house to make a feature film. If there's any issues, come let us know. We'll take care of it." Nobody came to us, so I guess nobody had an issue.
Mhm.
And just everyone got along. There was no problems. It was just fun. I drank a lot on
It was
that
pretty
set
much a party,
in a good
man.
way. At times it really was, and not every set is like that. And that's not to say that Carousel 2 was a bad set, but on the flip side, Carousel 2 is mostly shot in a fucking dirty factory in the middle of nowhere, where again we had free reign. We were able to be in full control with the crew and the cast, but at the same time, that's not a relaxing location to have a good time at. We were definitely much more business on point for Carousel 2, especially because of the slightly lower budget and the slightly shorter schedule as well, that we had to kind of be more hyper focused. Whereas Carousel 1 was like, fuck it, yeah, I'll drink 151 today. I don't care. I'm the boss. So yeah, I would say the best experience was Carousel 1. Good question, Mike.
And Patrick wanted to know how did you find Steve to do the voice of Duke?
Well, Patrick, it was a very simple case. I posted basically just a casting call saying, "Look, we're looking for a voice actor for this male voice unicorn who is a killer." Then when people reached out to me, I basically said, "Think Old Snake Metal Gear Solid 4. He's been doing this a while, and he's sick of all this shit." That's the vibe that I want. And we had a lot of auditions. One guy was close, but I tried to be more objective with it because he did like a perfect David Hayter impersonation. Like on point. I thought David Hayter auditioned for the film, and if he did, he would have had it because it's David fucking Hayter, but it wasn't. So as much as I loved his take, and he really listened literally to the direction, it was a little bit too literal. And I don't want to hire someone to sound like David Hayter. I wanted someone to have that vibe but do their own thing. So Stephen Peachy, when he auditioned, he nailed the vibe that I wanted and did a really good job. And he's worked with other people that I know, like Dustin Wade Mills. I've seen several of Dustin's films that Stephen Peachy is in, and Steve always does phenomenal work. I mean, he's been voice acting for much longer than I've been making these weird fucking movies. So the fact that he wanted to be Duke and he personifies it so well and is totally on board with being Duke until I assume he dies. I got really lucky that he was interested, auditioned, and was the best pick for the role.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, he's gone. It's my show now, baby. All right. Welcome to the Steve Show. It's me and Steve.
You didn't tell us we're in for this tonight.
All right, let me look at the comments here while he randomly disappeared. I see Hobbs asking if Duke was a member of the My Little Pony cartoon, would he be part of the 80s cartoon or the new shitty My Little Pony cartoon? Honestly, the new one, because the new one gets way fucking weirder with their stories and characters, and I say that as a compliment. So I would absolutely put him in the new one rather than like the 80s.
Sorry
Probably
about that.
being too
Little
careful.
issue there.
It's okay. I was answering some questions in the chat here.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, Patrick was mentioned Merry Christmas, and I was going to ask you about, sorry to interrupt, about working with animals. I don't know what you were saying, but working with animals, I know some of the stuff were human, but as for keeping the pets in line, was that difficult trying to get them in the shots?
There is a famous statement in the entertainment industry, which almost everyone has heard. Don't work with pets, don't work with animals.
Kids. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I said pets are animals. Children are pets. Don't work with pets. Don't work with kids.
Well,
Thank
sometimes
you.
pets are our children. There
Yeah.
we go. So.
Yeah, pets are the new children. Kids are the new, like, really expensive hobby.
Oh yeah.
But
That's about right.
anyway, so yeah, don't work with animals. Don't work with kids. The first half of that sentence is bullshit because animals were the easiest actors I've ever worked with in my goddamn life. I hold up a treat. They go where I want. They look where I want. I get an entire features film's worth of footage of that animal in like 2 hours. And I'm done. And I just cut everything on, and it's the easiest process I've ever had. That's why there's 4 goddamn Meowie movies.
Yeah.
Because I realized how easy one was. It was a success. I was like, oh fuck, I can do this 3 more times. I don't give a shit. Working with kids, however, is a nightmare. And I will not do that again. Unless it is someone that unless I get paid. If I get paid money, I'll do it again. Otherwise, the only kids in my future films are going to be puppets. Where I hire an adult to voice the child.
That's about right. Yeah. Kids can be a nightmare.
Hey, Doomsday.
Hey.
But working with the animals, it was super easy. I mean, like, Whiskers is my cat, obviously. That's the only reason why that movie exists.
Your cat, yeah.
Yeah. And she's very, very, very food driven. So all I had to do was hold food wherever I needed her to be, where I needed her to stop, and where I needed her to look, and I got everything that I needed for every film. And she is so goddamn cute. And then the rats are very similar, where they're smarter than she is, actually. Rats, if you aren't familiar at home, are basically little dogs. You can train them, you can teach them, they know commands, they know their names. I didn't go that far with my pets, but they know a couple of things, like Kita, who played Chuck in the first 2 films, was able to close their own cage door, so of course I'm going to use that to my advantage. But they're also, they recognize their name and they're food motivated, so if I need them to look somewhere or do something, it was easy to get that done.
Yeah, I've had gerbils in the past, and they are smart little animals. So.
I actually have a degree in herpetology.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And she worked with feral cats back in the day.
Yeah, nerd.
Nice.
How's that?
Back to domestic, as people
That's cool.
think.
Yeah.
But animals are a lot easier to train than little kids by far.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Tori had a question. How did you get the name for Duke? Did you have any other ideas or options?
Yes, actually. You said Tori said that one?
Yes.
All right. Well, so Aline Isley was the one that came up with the concept idea and the title, which honestly is like the most important part of an independent film in my fucking opinion. I have so many people come up to me and be like, I got an idea for the movie. Oh, what's it called? I don't have that yet. Well, then you got nothing. Because I automatically don't care. You need something to catch your eye. So Carousel caught my eye. So I asked her, what should we name this Carousel unicorn? And she used to work at Cedar Point. And when she worked at Cedar Point, she personally named every single horse on the carousel at Cedar Point. And basically pulled out her old-ass notebook from when she worked at Cedar Point as a kid and said, here's a list of names that I came up with. And I looked at it and went, Duke, that's the name. That's the name I want for the prettiest goddamn unicorn in the world. And that really helped isolate Duke's personality as well. But we picked a different... That's how writing works sometimes. If Everyone Must Die, for example, since you brought it up, if that had a different title, it would be a totally different movie. If his name was not Duke, it'd be a totally different character in a totally different movie. So
Duke has the edge, kind of the edge to it.
Exactly. So yeah, there was like 20 other options on that list, and we could have thought of other things too. But I liked the idea of, like, since that's where she got the idea initially, to stick with that list is we should pick a name from this list because that's what birthed this idea, was her working there.
All right, and Kristen wants to know, what's your favorite carnival ride?
None of them. Especially if we're talking a carnival. None of them, because those are all fucking death traps.
Yes.
Rides
Exactly.
rides are not meant to move. I've actually learned a lot of this from Elaine because she had to deal with a lot of the safety stuff working for Cedar Point. Rides are not meant to fucking move. If they can move, they automatically are significantly more dangerous. So when I'm at a carnival, I'm eating, I am playing those scam games that I know are scam games, but I am not getting on a goddamn single ride. If we're just talking rides, let me cheat a bit to give Kristen a better answer than nothing. I'm a big Disneyland fan. I will simp for that park until I die. It is one of the few things that are completely worth the price, in my opinion. And whenever and that's part of the reason why I don't care so much about rides at other amusement parks, because I've been spoiled by Disneyland. I'll get on a roller coaster or a log jammer ride like at another park and be like, where the fuck's the music? Where's the soundtrack right now? Where's all the animatronics? Where's the fantasy realm? Disneyland gives me that. So at Disneyland, at the very least, my favorite ride is Indiana Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye, because that goddamn ride is the most unique thing I have ever been on to this day. It is somehow a thrill ride and a dark ride and an adventure ride and an animatronic ride. Like it's so much stuff combined, and it is so fun every time I go. I always ride that more than anything else when I'm at that park.
All right.
So I hope that answer is a little bit better than nothing at all, Kristen.
And for Patty, she wants to know, in your opinion, what was the most uncomfortable scene in the movie? The number one moment where you were like, okay, so this is what we are doing with a plastic unicorn. Let's do this.
I feel like Patty asked this knowing what the answer is. I mean, I feel everyone knows that the answer is the fucking sex scene.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even that, to be clear, it wasn't uncomfortable in the sense like, oh no, I can't believe what we're doing, because we had a great time that night. I made it a very small, minimal crew. It was like literally just Scott on camera. Haley's friend Josh, who played Pierre in the film, he was on audio. Aline was there to help with lighting, and I was there to direct, and also most of the time, like, puppeteer Duke, because he's fucking huge. So, like, we had fun, and no one else was in the house, no one else was on set. It was literally just us in this room, and we saved it for the last thing so we can take our time, do whatever we needed to do to keep Haley comfortable and happy. Because that's important to me with any nude scene, but especially in this one where she was completely going to have to be in control of the situation.
Right.
But the thing that just made it uncomfortable is that, like, so in the original script for Carousel, we had some inspiration, especially Aline, from the film Jack Frost. Not the Michael Keaton one, the killer snowman one. So we kind of were in that same mindset of, oh, this is going to be a rape scene. Not a fucking violent, hardcore rape scene, but like a lighter rape scene like the one in Jack Frost. But then as I was writing it, I was just like, this still feels too dark. For how light everything else is in the script, and how Duke is more or less just kind of hunting down one person for revenge instead of being some maniacal evil, it feels wrong for this scene to be rape. And I always feel like you need a really good reason to make something rape. So I said, okay, no, Haley and Steve Rapici were actually already both signed on to the film at that point. But then I reached out and said, hey, I'm going to make this scene consensual. It's not going to be a rape scene anymore. We're going to have much more fun with it. It's going to be much lighter. And I think it won't be as bad anymore. As we're filming it, and Haley is now enthusiastically cowgirling this plastic unicorn, I went, this is fucking way worse. This is way weirder. Jesus Christ, I'm making this. Fuck.
Going back to the rape. Hey.
Yeah, seriously. The rape is going to be less bad, guys.
Let's see. Hobbs, he want to know what was the hardest part of filming Carousel.
I mean, it wasn't. Honestly, again, like, that was such a laid-back shoot that nothing immediately comes to mind. I'd say at worst, it's just like keeping everyone on target, because again, since it was a more laid-back shoot and people were more relaxed and drinking and having fun, sometimes I did have to be kind of the bad guy to say, hey, fuckers, action. put that shit down. We've got to fucking go. I'd say at worst, that would be the only thing I can think of. It's otherwise a very laid back shoot.
Okay.
With like no problems.
Cool. Then the last one, Theodore, he just wants to know what your favorite part of the movie is.
I'll tell you exactly what my favorite part of the movie is. It is seeing the movie with an audience. And Lunchbox and Duke getting shot and everyone getting mad. And Lunchbox walking away and everyone getting mad. And then the Jeep starting to come towards Lunchbox and like 3 people understand what's about to happen. And then Lunchbox gets hit and it's the biggest pop possible from the goddamn crowd. You would have thought that it was a wrestling match where the face finally fucking won after a year of losing. That's what it feels like every time I see the movie with an audience that hasn't seen the movie before, where everyone just bursts to their feet and cheer, and that's exactly what I intended. I absolutely intended everything up to the car hit to be like edging you. And it's just like, yeah, well, I'm not going to kill a kid, right? Yes, I am. Fuck this kid.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how I felt.
So that's my favorite part because it's with the audience. My favorite part without an audience, to sound like a narcissist, is actually the moment when Lori tells my character that she doesn't have a phone. And I didn't realize how perfectly I did the slow turnaround and silent rage in my face until I saw the dailies later. But once I saw it, I was just like, I guess sometimes I can act. That's what I was picturing.
Yeah, that was great. One of my favorite characters in it, I must say. That was hilarious.
Thank you.
Having to
I was not supposed to be in the movie.
So, let's see. This is just a question I got for you. What age did you get into writing and acting, and did you do anything in middle school, high school?
I mean, I decided to be a filmmaker when I was 12. So I was doing stuff in middle school and high school up until I moved out of the house at 18, and then I was doing, shitty small stuff that I don't like to talk about or reference. Then I was doing internet stuff. I tried a feature in like 2007, which was really, really bad. And then I went back to doing like an online series in 2008. That was VG Spoofs. I did 2 seasons of that. I was pretty okay with the how that turned out, but it really didn't catch on, which is fine, but that means I gave up on it. And then in 2010 is when I finally kind of sat down and said, look, I want to create movies. That's what I want to do. That's what makes the most sense for me. So that's when I kind of took it seriously again and went to Slasher Hunter, and then ever since, history was made.
All right.
I see Cheetah here had another question of why did you kill the whole cast, and if I could bring 2 characters back, who would they be? I killed the whole cast because that's what a goddamn slasher movie should do. And also, Duke is the hero. Duke is the protagonist. Everyone else is either a villain or getting in the way and preventing Duke from killing these villains. So Duke is the hero and is wiping everyone out. If I could bring back 2 characters, though, it would probably be Haley, because I loved Sarah, and probably Cowboy Cool, because that was also an idea that I had early on. Where I was like, our Dr. Loomis should be a park mascot that keeps this costume on the entire film.
Mm-hmm. All right. What can you tell us about Carousel 2?
What do you want to know?
Well then, I don't know. You want to know anything that's in particular, or?
All right, it's a story with 2 roads that are going next to each other. It's not even an A plot and a B plot. It's both plots that are really, really intertwined because it's about Duke's continuing his journey of who am I. Right. That is really what the series is, and I mean that, don't get me wrong, there's still silly, fucking weird comedy horror films, but to me, the point of the first movie, the point of the second movie, and the point of the third, if I do make it, is Duke is the protagonist, and we're focusing on his story of who am I. Mm-hmm. The first one, he thinks, I'm a killer. That felt right to do, so that must be who I am. Now, if you remember from the mid-credit scene of Carousel 1, there was a consequence from having unprotected magical unicorn sex, and that was a child being born.
Yeah.
From the moment we wrote that scene, Aline and I, we were saying, oh yeah, part 2 is about him meeting his kid. Like, absolutely. Like, that, we were talking on set for Carousel 1 5 years ago that's what part 2 is going to be. We didn't have the specific story yet, but we knew that's what it would be about. So...
Yeah. They definitely got good dynamics going on from what I read and everything. So
thank you. I'm glad.
So yeah.
So yeah, half of part 2 is Duke finding out he's a father and kind of coming to terms with the idea that I'm not a killer, or at least I'm not just a killer. There's more layers to my existence than just killing and stabbing and doing what I want. You know, there's this life that I helped create and is actually a good person. And Duke kind of sees parts of himself in Robbie and how sweet and innocent and genuine Robbie is. Robbie is when we started writing Carousel 2, I said, all right, Carousel 1 was about a kid that I wanted everyone to hate. Carousel 2, I want to be about a kid that everyone fucking loves. I want people to be really upset when this kid gets hurt in the movie. So Robbie is the sweetest cinnamon roll that we were able to write by a great voice actor, B. Barnaby. They did a fantastic job with Robbie. The puppet for Robbie looks phenomenal, and I'm very happy with that. So that's half the movie. Cool. Honestly, half the movie is a family comedy. That's not an exaggeration, and I'm proud of that. The other half, though, is the other thing that we always knew part 2 was going to get more into, and that is Duke's origins. We drop a couple lines in the first film that Cowboy Cool refers to Duke as a Nazi, and we always knew we don't want to get into it here, but we know what he is. And now we can finally show that for the people that did want that origin story, that did want to know where he came from and how he was made, and we find out exactly how and why he was made by Nazis. But I'm willing to say, Duke is not a Nazi himself. Duke is a victim. So,
interesting.
As often with the Nazis, they use dark magic, and the ones that made Duke are still alive, and they're hunting him down for revenge. So now Duke has to deal with raising his son, but also protecting this weird hybrid thing from the perspective of the Nazis that shouldn't exist from the Nazis.
Right.
So that's what part 2, that's the plot of part 2, without giving away like spoilers.
Right. So, and also you got your cards deck builder finally coming out too, so that's pretty cool. You want to talk about that a little bit? I
mean, sure. Aline and I have always kind of talked in passing about making some sort of game for Carousel, but we always kind of went back and forth with what that would be. Because I didn't want it to be like a board game where you're running away from Duke. Because Duke is the protagonist. As I said, Duke is a hero from his point of view and from many people's point of view. So I wanted a game where you could be Duke, but at the same time, I didn't want the game to be like, oh, one player gets to have fun as Duke, and everyone else gets the shitty character where they're trying to get away or something. So we kind of looked at some of the games that we love to play, Aline and I, and we really enjoy deck building games, and that's what we were able to design. We designed a deck building game that is mostly about Carousel. Hey, you want a Duke Funko Pop? Fucking email Funko. I can't fucking control that shit. You think I'm President Funko over here? God damn, I can't make that happen.
That would be a good pop, though. Yeah.
All right, so the way that the game works, it's mostly simple. You got these jumbo cards, and these are actually the survivors. And you can be Whiskers from the Meowie movies. You can be Joe, Duke, Cowboy Cool, Enforcer Green from Super Task Force, and Santa Claus himself, because that's very important to the mythos of the Silver Spotlight universe. You pick a character. They each have their own strengths, weaknesses, and you go into, after getting your starter deck, you basically are focused on buying cards from what the main deck would be in order to get a stronger deck. And then you use the stronger deck in order to defeat the Nemesis deck, which are all the villains. Of course, Lunchbox is the first villain you have to kill. But we have characters from pretty much all the Silver Spotlight films in this set. Like, don't get me wrong, again, it is mostly a Carousel game. Most of the characters are Carousel. Most of the powers are Carousel. But I have all these other characters and movies that why not use them for fun? So it's it's kind of a Easter egg game for fans of the other movies too. We played it with a couple fans that like have seen all my movies, and they were honestly just having a blast seeing what characters made it, what powers made it, and what each card kind of did based on the characters they were already familiar with. So we've played it a few times with fans. Everyone seems to keep having a good time with it. Everyone seems to keep enjoying it. So if you're into the Silver Spotlight films or into Carousel and want to have a little bit of fun, head over to silverspotlightfilms.com, pick yourselves up a copy, and, how many independent horror films have a deck building game, right?
None that I know of, so yeah.
I know that the Barn has a board game, but I don't know how widely available that board game is. Like, I've only seen it at their convention booth, and let me tell you, fuck it. So we sell the game for $49.99, but if I'm being very clear, it costs us like $42.50 to produce and ship this to people. So we are not getting rich off this shit. But if it costs us $42.50 to create and ship this to people, I can't fucking imagine how much a full-blown board game with like pieces and shit would cost. If this costs that much. I mean, look at this. This is a dense box, don't get me wrong. I'm proud of what we did, but if it costs that much, whoo, I can't imagine how much our board game would have cost.
Wow.
I was wondering what directors inspired you the most as you developed your skills?
3 easy go-to answers, and 2 of them also have crossover with the actors I looked up to. Robert Rodriguez, because of his hectic comic book style and his I can do it all myself attitude, which is very important on the indie level. Sam Raimi, for obvious reasons. Army of Darkness was the film that made me decide to be a filmmaker. And I love Sam's style. I love how Sam makes everything silly. I love how even when Sam is telling a serious horror story, it's still fun, because that's what's most important to me personally. I like to have fun with my horror. I don't like the deep psychological or hyper scary or hyper gore porn horror. I want the roller coaster horror. I want to have fun while everyone's getting slaughtered. And honestly, John Arceri, the guy who made Ernest, P-World, because he made Ernest basically a live action cartoon, and I really like that. And I also like how well he's able to use that idea in different genres, which is one of the reasons why I make so many different genres myself. Because to me, that's important. There's a lot of times where if I only made horror, that's my only fan base, period. But I can't tell you how many people have come up to me to say, like, oh, Steve, I love Carousel, yada, yada. I discovered you through Super Task Force, because I don't really watch indie horror, but I love tokusatsu. And when I saw that there was an indie toku, I had to check it out, and I loved it. Or, my kid ended up loving Carousel, but we found you because they rented Meowie Halloween on Prime, and there aren't that many like PG horror films with cats, and we had a blast, and I laughed at all the horror references, so we watched your other stuff. To me, that's a really valuable marketing tool, in addition to just, I don't want to get bored making the same shit every single time. Like, don't get me wrong, Carousel 2, if Carousel keeps making money, I'll make Carousel fucking 19. I don't give a shit. I'm also horror.
Yeah.
But in between every Carousel, I'm also going to make something different and weird that I want to make.
Of course.
Yeah.
So besides Carousel, what else? Anything you can tell us that you're working on we can keep an eye out for?
I'm a one movie at a time kind of director. Plenty of times people will come up to me at a convention when like I'm promoting a new film, and they'll say, "Oh, what you doing? What you up to now? What's next?" My answer is always, "Still selling this fucking movie. Why don't you get back to me in a fucking year?"
Okay.
Like, Carousel 2 is not even done yet. We're still editing it. We still need to put it onto disc. We still need to sell it, release it, and then I need to focus on marketing it, going to conventions, doing interviews, more interviews, I should say. After that, get back to me.
Okay,
because
gotcha.
it's also based on how well Carousel 2 sells.
Right. So do you know if Wild Eye will distribute that or not, or you're not sure yet on that?
I'm not sure. They probably would want it. I don't know if I want to go through distributor again. My plan right now, unless I get a really good deal, is that I want to keep the rights to Carousel 2 and sell it ourselves.
Okay.
You know, I have a lot of access to places. I have a lot of access to streaming now with, you know, Film Hub is a great aggregator for independent filmmakers that is able to get you onto places like Tubi and Vimeo and a bunch of other streaming services that I've never heard of, but someone uses them because they give me 10 cents a month without needing a distributor, without needing the middleman. And it's the same aggregator that I think Wild Eye and other distributors use. So why not just use them myself? Distributors used to be a lot more valuable in the era of Blockbuster and, you know, the era of retailers stocking more independent horror films, especially when Best Buy had the huge ass DVD section. These days, if you're going through a distributor, you're basically just kind of really crossing your fingers and rolling the dice, hoping that Walmart wants to pick up the film. Because if Walmart picks up your movie, that's like, even if you get like the low C tier deal, that's $15,000 instantaneously because of how many copies they have to buy. If you don't get that, most of the time the distributor is not doing more than what you can do on your own. Most of the time. Don't get me wrong, Wild Eye got the movie to a lot of people. They got it to a lot of reviewers that I never heard of, but that have small audiences, and I definitely got new fans because of that. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm glad I went with Wild Eye for Carousel 1. I just don't know if I need a distributor for Carousel 2. Most of the people that want to see Carousel 2 already saw Carousel 1 and will support it on its own, versus I don't know how many new fans I would access going through the distributor for Carousel 2 when there's still Carousel 1 getting pushed, like on the worldwide scale by the third party. So that's my hope. The pushing of Carousel 1 will just send people to find Carousel 2 on their own, which I can keep the control of completely. But again, we'll see. If I get offered a deal that makes me go, all right, I'm going to do it.
Right.
But I'm not going to like go out of my way to get a distributor this time. I do a lot of my own self-distribution, though, so it's something that I'm used to, and I know what I'm doing, and I know how to handle it. So if I haven't been doing this 10 years, my answer might be different.
All right. Is there any fun or interesting facts you could share about yourself, whether it's a hobby, interest, or talent that fans may not know about you?
I mean, I feel like fans know everything about me because I don't shut the fuck up. I can't think of something about me that people don't already know. Whiskers just walked by.
Oh.
That's gonna make Patrick happy.
Got a cameo.
Yeah. Patrick's gonna be like, "Cat, introduce him, Cheetah."
Okay,
I just saw Mike say you can't find the cards. If you go to silverspotlightfilms.com, it's literally the third thing on the menu. Let me look just to make sure I'm not completely insane. Yeah, if you go to silverspotlightfilms.com and you look at the grid system of the things, the first item is the Carousel Blu-ray, and then you look to your right and that's the Carousel DVD, and you look to your right again and it's the Carousel deck building game. So yeah, sorry, I don't really have a good answer for that. I mean, lots of people know everything about me. Everyone knows, that I do acting for other stuff. Everyone knows that I've done, acting for Marvel. Everyone knows that I'm a nut for wrestling and Power Rangers and Super Sentai and comic books and especially DC. Batman v Superman DC. Ultimate Cut is my favorite superhero movie. Everyone knows that. I'll say it every time. I don't care. That's all I
got. Later, Jason. Thanks for stopping by. All right. So what do you think about, as for your questions, any decisions yet? Who gets the Blu-ray or?
I'm going to go with thinking between two. You know what? This is going to be salt in the wound. I almost picked Mike. I want to say that because I thought best experience is an interesting question that lets me actually answer regarding any film. But I have been able to talk about the experience of every film. No one has asked me where Duke's name came from yet until today, and I've always had that answer. So Tori, you win the Blu-ray.
All right.
But Mike, I appreciated your question, Mike. Shoot me an email or a message on Facebook, and I will get you a link to the Carousel 2 trailer before anyone else.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
So, not a free piece of physical media, but silver medal.
Hey.
All right. How
So, were
about
there any other notes or
Justin?
questions from anyone?
Yeah, anyone in the
I'm
studio?
all tapped out.
That is awesome.
Actually, I just had a question.
Go for it, Big
your whole
Daddy.
process, right? There you go. Been quiet for a few minutes, but what process do you go through to coming up with just the story of a new movie, ideas? How does that all work out in your mind?
I mean,
something pop up one day, or just how does that all?
most of the time, and I'll give a couple like different examples, but most of the time I come up with a
Okay.
title that I'm like, oh, that's a cool title. Does any movie exist with this title yet? No. Well, I gotta fucking make a movie with this title. That's how Everyone Must Die came to be. That's how fucking, to a degree, Red Christmas came to be, but not completely. Meowy Christmas, absolutely. It was just like, no one has made a movie called A Meowy Christmas? I see this everywhere, and no one has done that? That's insane. And likewise, I mean, Carousel was mostly the title with just a bit of the concept. But then there will be other exceptions where, like, I'll come up with kind of like an idea. Like, so using Red Christmas as an example, I was just kind of like, I forget where I was. That part of the story doesn't matter. But Maneater, the song came on. And I was like, oh, shit, I should make a movie about, like, a fucking female killer that fucking, like, slaughters and devours men. That'd be fucking awesome. Call it Maneater. And I was like, nah, I don't want to use Maneater because, that's the fucking title of the song. Yeah. So what can I do with this? And then I kind of went, oh, you know what? I hate found footage movies. I hate torture porn. Let's make a found footage torture porn movie because I want to see what my version of that is. And don't get me wrong, I made the movie for $500. It was not like a big production. It was never meant to be. It was mostly an experiment for myself. And I always like seeing women villains because I see too many male villains and I'm bored. Yeah. It's just more fun.
Exactly.
If you look at my fucking filmography, I don't exactly have the number, but I want to say half of them are women villains. But anyways, I was like kind of coming up with ideas for this like found footage torture porn. I was like, you know what? I like Christmas. I'm a big Christmas fanatic. I fucking love Christmas.
Me too.
A lot of Wally's character in A Meowy Christmas is me. But so I was like, I'm going to make this a Christmas movie because, fuck it. No one can tell me not to. So that's when I was like, okay, well, let's make a Christmas movie. What's titles that I can come up with? And I had a list of Christmas murder puns, but similarly, I was like, wait, obviously White Christmas the movie exists. Obviously Black Christmas exists. How's there not a Red Christmas? So I fucking made Red Christmas. And then a year later, some fuckers in Australia made a movie called Red Christmas, but that guy has to put his name in the title forever to differentiate his Red Christmas from mine because I got the title first. Woo! For the process for something more like Carousel, excuse me for a second, was a case where, again, Aline came to me saying, we should make a movie called Carousel, about a killer carousel horse. Wait, no, killer carousel unicorn. And I said, yes, we should. But I kind of sat down with her and said, why is he killing? Like, what is the motivation? What's the target? And she sat and thought for a few minutes. And I wanted her to come up with this. And she kind of reached back into her Cedar Point memories of kids abusing rides that she was running and how much that bothered her. So she's like, okay, some bratty piece of shit kid just abuses him so badly one day that he breaks free of the ride to hunt the kid down. Like, perfect. And then I was able to use that to mold, like, okay, so instead of this being like a slasher movie, this is going to be more like a revenge film where Duke is done wrong and Duke is hunting this person down for revenge. And then from there, we just kind of worked. So then we kind of, we did an outline with very few characters mentioned, just like a basic concept of like where the story's going to go, in what order. Then we come up with a list of characters we'd like to see and kind of pick most of our favorites. Almost everyone that we come up with makes into the film, but not every single character does. And And then from there, we start writing. And usually I kick out a script very fast, relatively speaking. I think we wrote all of Carousel, the first draft, in like a week. But then I noticed that the movie was a little short. So I actually said, okay, let's do a Friday the 13th Part 6 and kill these people going on a picnic, which is exactly what they did for Part 6 to get just a couple extra kills. I did that for Carousel. Clark and Diana were not in the original Carousel 1, but they fit very well in a scene that I feel really helps the plot move along. And I didn't see that until I already was looking at the complete first draft, which is like, something needs to be here. And I just kind of wrote it one day when like Aline was out and just like, hey, so I added this. Does this work? And she liked it, so there we go. Cool. When I write with someone, I will sometimes come up with an idea that is making me laugh the whole time, but I don't tell them. For example, Aline didn't know that the twins were incestuous until I wrote that joke. But I made that decision like instantly. Like as soon as I started writing these characters, I'm like, oh, they fuck.
Came up with it instantly.
Ditto. The fact that they're French Canadians and not from France was also something that I came up with. And she was the one that said, oh, they're going to be French exchange students. And I was like, yeah, they are. And then in my brain, I was like, no, they're not. But it made me laugh and made her laugh, so we kept it. So sometimes that's what happens too.
Yeah, I was going through watching the deleted scenes, and the part with the phone, how she was going to make a phone call was cut out.
We completely weren't thinking of that. Yeah. Completely weren't thinking. That was us just fucking up.
She's like, you literally have a phone. That's
yeah. So
that wouldn't have made sense though. As I was watching, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that was.
We probably would have caught it while editing, but I'm still glad Saint Marie said something while we were on set because she was the first one to catch it, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
you're right.
And then the sugar tits kill was pretty cool too. Unfortunately, that was good.
I was very sad that we lost the sugar tits kill. I'm glad it's at least on the physical release, but yeah, it's just a case. Again, that's something that you don't really think of, but it comes up in like day-to-day shooting, where it's just like, okay, we have all the extras in this room, and then 2 days from now, we'll just have Duke move through this room for the scene. And then, so let's shoot all the extras dying in this room today. And then 2 days later, we're in the living room, and Scott Lewis and I are standing there being like, it makes no fucking sense why Duke would come through this room. He can't come through this room anymore. So we have to kill everyone who's still here over in this room. And again, like I say in the bonus feature, canonically, everyone at that party's dead. We just weren't able to show it. Mm-hmm. But that's one of those things. It comes up. You kind of got to improvise, even as like the director. You kind of got to think on your feet, and sometimes you fuck up in a way that isn't damaging to the film, but it's still a mistake that's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and the poor host of the party getting abused throughout the whole movie. That was great.
That was another idea I had where I just wanted, okay, we always have these like jock bullies that are always like the top dog in these horror films. I want the jock bully to get bullied for the whole fucking movie. I want everyone to be mean to this guy that you think is the dick. Right. And no, everyone's being mean to him because he is a fan of something and a victim of toxic masculinity.
Because at first you think he is when he's trying to get all the girls to flash him, be the beats and top dog, and then all of a sudden, my little uni, episode 8 or 6 or whatever.
He got the pot full of Foyer coffee, all downhill from there.
Yep.
Who doesn't have Foyer coffee, right?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Let's see if I think that was pretty much all my notes there. Vince, you got anything else?
I noticed you have a poster to your left. It has some white trim and writing.
Yes, Super Task Force.
I couldn't quite make it out because of the light.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I do look holy right now because of this backlight. Yeah, that's my 2013 Tokusatsu film, Super Task Force 1. We had just wrapped and released Everyone Must Die, and basically people were like, oh, what are you going to do next? I'm like, well, I really like Tokusatsu, so I want to try making one of those. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, again, like, you made 2 horror movies. That's what you do now. You're only supposed to do it. It's like, nah, fuck it. So I got together like $1,000 of my own dollars and crowdfunded $1,000 from the fans in order to help pay for like the special effects and buy costumes and make costumes. And it is what it is. But honestly, I rewatched it a month ago. Act 1's a bit slow, but aside from that, I still think it is a very solid tokusatsu film, especially one made for $2,000 fucking dollars.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It still arguably has the best theme song of any of my movies too. I think I know more people that rock out to the theme song than have seen the film. But again, it's also a film that has had like a really weird, like, staying alive. I don't know. I lost the word to describe it, but like a staying power is like it didn't sell too well when it first came out because Toku is already a niche, and people that buy indie movies are a niche. So that crossover is very small. But like once it got onto Prime Video for streaming, back when Prime still paid more than 1 cent per hour streamed, that movie made so much fucking money. It was fucking stupid. And now it got picked up by Tubi, and it's not making me rich, but it's still consistently making like $20 to $30 a month for something that I made 8 goddamn years ago.
Yeah.
I won't do a sequel because it's been too long, and it would just be too difficult and hard because as much as I enjoyed making the film, it was at the same time a lot more work, especially in post-production. You know, there's so many more sound effects, so many more special effects, so much more editing and cuts that you have to worry about. And if I get paid, I'll do it. But like, I don't want to work on my own dime, not getting paid for my work on the off chance that the movie might make money when it took that amount of work, especially in this era where streaming makes so little money, unfortunately. If Prime Video was still paying today, would have paid in 2015, goddamn, I'd be making a lot of stuff. That is way weirder than what I'm doing now. But since that's not the case, I still need to kind of make stuff with a marketing aspect in mind.
Yeah.
I saw Cheetah ask, where did we find the unicorn? We did not find it. We did have to buy and make it. So Alina and I looked online at the time for like, where the fuck do we buy a carousel horse? And we found someone on eBay that, as far as we could tell, owned like 3 or 4 actual carousel horses and would make thick, hard plastic molds of these horses to sell. And so we kind of like picked our favorite one, and it was like $1,400 to buy and ship it. And so it's a hollow, thick plastic horse, and it was a horse. Cody Rook, our special effects guy, is the one who made the horn and installed the horn. And then Aline, similarly, she took a picture of the prop, blank, and then just with like colored pencils came up with a few designs of what looked the best. There was like a very USA one that I loved, and I almost picked, but didn't. And there's like a couple more like neutral ones that would be common to see on a carousel ride. And then the one that we picked for the movie was pink and bright and happy. I'm like, yes, that's Duke. That's the prettiest goddamn unicorn in the world. So, and then she painted it. Aline, the co-writer, co-creator of Carousel, is the one who painted Duke and touched Duke up for part 2.
Nice.
Nice.
I thought for a moment your answer might be in hell.
It came in hell.
In hell.
Now, Duke's American.
Right.
Yeah, it's great also how the own character is aware he said that his own line so many times to come up with a new catchphrase.
Yeah. That was great.
That's classic me. I don't break the fourth wall, but I like to wink at it.
Yeah.
A couple times a movie. I see Hobbs also asked, was you ever a fan of pro wrestling or MMA? Yeah, I fucking love pro wrestling. I said that. I have a belt collection right there with my prized IWGP Heavyweight Championship belt before New Japan replaced it with that fucking garbage. When Okada to win the new belt and throw it in the trash can and bring this bad boy back. But and the Nasty Boys were okay. They weren't bad, but, you know, honestly, I became a way bigger wrestling fan as an adult because for many years I was just like, I don't like wrestling. It's boring. It's dumb. And then I realized, I just don't like WWE. Once I watched other companies, I was like, oh, this is fucking fantastic. This is a stage show where all the storytelling is two beefy men fighting. Yes, sign me up. And then I then learned even more and got more stories and more companies like, oh, this story is two Japanese women being way more physically brutal than any man I've ever seen. Sign me up for more Joshi wrestling. Thank you. But yeah, I have loved wrestling for several years now. If some of my finances come together in a way that I'm hoping for, I actually plan on going to pro wrestling school this year to become an independent wrestler. I don't have any dreams about AEW or New Japan. I just want to be like a local indie circuit guy, but I think that form of storytelling is super cool and just so fucking fun and energetic. And I get that itch scratched a little bit from like the Spider-Man Marvel Live gig that I do, where I'm coming out to an audience cheering my name, and I basically do wrestling choreography, and Marvel sometimes lets me write the scripts and I make them pro wrestling as fuck. But I want to see if I can do that same sort of thing with my character instead of a character that millions of people around the world already love. And it's not hard for me to get people to cheer for me when I'm fucking Spider-Man.
Exactly.
I'd love to see photos of you in character.
You mean a Spider-Man?
No, when you pursue this wrestling.
Thank you.
Yes.
My plan right now is I would love to be the director, where I would play a kind of shitty Johnny Cage, where I would kind of act pompous and better than everyone, but at the same time beg everyone to please buy my movies because I need to make money to buy more food. Please, for the love of God, indie filmmaking makes no money.
Kind of a fourth wall break in a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have someone break my glasses like those were $10 sunglasses,
This
asshole.
asshole.
I can't afford to buy more sunglasses.
Classic line, Goro. What do you think of the new Mortal Kombat?
Not a fan.
No.
I'm willing to say that, like, as a film, it was like made better, better effects and better costumes and better pace than say like Annihilation was. But I'd rather watch Annihilation because that movie is way more fun and silly. And I'm not saying that Mortal Kombat has to be fun and silly. I actually like when movies take the lore seriously. Like, not everything has to be a fucking joke. That's something that as much as I love comedy and silliness and fun, not every single thing needs to be a, oh, look how dumb this is. Like, no, absolutely Scorpion should be a fucking demon. But it just felt like a lot of missed opportunity and like weird decisions when it comes to characters, focus, and like I have a huge fucking issue with this goddamn trend. I don't want to call it a trend because it doesn't happen that often, but it happens enough that it's noticeable, where it feels like when people are making like a big budget studio film, they're like, oh, let's make a boring prequel movie first, and then the sequel can be the good one.
Yeah.
Start with the fucking good one. That happened. Superman Returns. Singer was like, oh yeah, we had to do the slow story first, but now the sequel can be like, oh, Wrath of Khan. Just like, why? Why did you have to do a shitty slow story first?
Right.
Power Rangers 2017. Oh yeah, we wanted it to not feel that much like Power Rangers, but now part 2, like, no, too late. You lost your chance. You
Yeah.
You delivered mediocrity. Oh, Street Fighter, Legend of Chun-Li. We don't even want to show the Street Fighter tournament, but on the sequel, guess what? Now it doesn't exist. It doesn't fucking exist. Good job, guys. Why don't you start with that? Then if you make enough money, you can make your prequel story. And that's what Mortal Kombat felt like to me. It felt like, let's make a prequel story instead of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. If only they had like the gore and like the 90s one, that would have been the perfect combo together.
I mean, I agree.
I really enjoyed the original ones.
And the gore in this one was great, and I liked how like it got to like B horror levels of gore. I mean, and I mean, there's parts of the film that I enjoy. I appreciated that they let the guy who plays Kano improvise, and he was just Captain Boomerang, and that completely worked for the character. But then at the same time, like, I don't know, they did my boy Liu Kang and Kung Lao dirty. They did him dirty. And I don't know, Cole didn't need to exist, or at the very least, Cole should have been the one to die.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
agree.
If they need to tell this prequel story, if they need to do it this way, build Goro up the whole film, and then as soon as Goro walks through the portal, he rips Cole in half, and then the rest of the heroes run. So that way you establish Goro as like, this is a big motherfucker, and Cole is dead. So now we need to rally around and get revenge for our buddy Cole. Which also, his name should have been spelled with a K, right? Like, I'm not fucking insane for being flabbergasted that it's Cole with a C, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
Everything else in the franchise, everything is a K. Everything.
Yeah.
To answer Mike, where I do the Spider-Man stuff, all around the world. I do it officially. I work for Marvel Live, so whatever client like pays Marvel for the characters, they fly me to where that is. You know, I've been in Ohio, across the country, a lot of states. Technically, it's worldwide. They haven't done any worldwide shows for a very long time, but like wherever they need me, they fly me, and I do the show there, or I do the meet and greet there if it's just a meet and greet. So, but if you ever see like a big official like meet Marvel Spider-Man on billboards and actual advertisements and shit, and it's not just like someone's local company, that's probably me.
Nice. That's cool.
It's cool.
So besides Spider-Man, any other Marvel characters you do, or that's the big one you do?
I mean, you know, sometimes if they... Mainly, I am their Spider-Man, officially. Sometimes actors aren't available, or a client wants a specific character but likes me, so then I put on different boots. So, like, I've been Cap, probably the second most. I've been Ant-Man a couple of times. Was almost Star-Lord once, but I didn't have the right hair, and I was like, nah, it's fine. I shouldn't be Star-Lord today. And Iron Man once, and that was a fucking nightmare. I hate that suit.
All right. Let's see. We've been going over an hour, 6 minutes. You want to stick around, talk some more? Or
hey, if you guys got stuff to ask or stuff you want to talk about, I'm willing to stay.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, like I said, you know, you don't have to stay on any longer than an hour, but thanks. And what else we got? Any other questions in the room? Let's see. We got Spider-Man stuff.
Trying to pull it up.
Bill.
I got one. What's your favorite horror franchise?
That is...
Yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, I know it's kind of in general. I mean, I didn't break it down to either slasher or anything else, but yeah. Just...
I mean, I immediately have the three answers my brain went to.
Yeah.
But trying to pick one is making me pause. See, on one hand, you got Phantasm, which I love sheerly because it's like a serial. Like, it's not like, oh, there's this movie and then there's a sequel. Like, no, it feels episodic, and I fucking love that.
Yes, it does.
We don't have to talk about 5 that much. But like 1 through 4, I like chef's kiss. I know a lot of people like to shit on either 3 or 4, but I love both of those.
No. I
Especially
love 4. It's my second favorite.
Hell yeah.
Love Oblivion.
It feels like a great ending, and I love how they use footage from the first movie that they never used. Like, everything about 4 works for me.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Then I think of Evil Dead. Because I love Ash, I love the humor, I love the style, but at the same time, there's not as many Evil Dead entries, and I'm actually not the biggest fan of the first one. So also kind of, as much as Evil Dead, the franchise, inspired me, it's why I do what I fucking do, at the same time, it kind of feels not 100% real if I say that's my favorite franchise when I don't even...
Right.
When I don't like... If we're only speaking of the original trilogy... I don't like 33% of the franchise.
Right.
And then, of course, Nightmare on Elm Street. I fucking love Freddy. The talking killer, of course. It's fucking Duke's talking killer. And I love most of the Nightmare films. I really enjoy 2. I love 3. 4 is my favorite. 5 shits the bed a bit, but it still has like my favorite dream sequence. So like even a movie that I don't like has something super redeeming about it. And fuck horror fans, Part 6 is a fucking joy. I watch the movie and just feel good.
The video game sequence dream is so funny when he found it through the wall and controlling him.
Oh, well, they made Freddy Bugs Bunny. Fuck yeah, they did! Hell yeah! Let's do this! Fuck it, he can say, "What's up, Doc?" for all I care at this point. I'm
Right.
signed up. Give me more power
I
glove.
mean, what else can you do? He's in the dream world. Just gotta
Yeah.
Well, anything
Go
can
with
happen.
it.
It's the dream world.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I respect Freddie for trying to stay up on the times. He could just stay like a racist white man that died in the 50s. But no, he's just like, no,
Right.
the kids care about video games. We need to push video games. See, I mean, those are the three that I go to for the reasons that I just listed. If push came to shove, I'd
Nice.
probably say Nightmare is my favorite. But like the other two are right fucking there.
Right.
And like honestly, honorable mention to Friday the 13th just for consistency. Like at no point am I like, oh, this is one of my favorite things ever, but I enjoy almost all of them.
Let's see. Mike wants to know, how did you get into the acting for Marvel?
Super short story. I did a gig with a guy that worked for Marvel Live at the time. We got along. He liked me. He got Marvel my contact info and said they'd be calling me. You hear that 100,000 times a day when you're an actor, so I expected nothing. And then Marvel called me, and the rest is history.
All of knowing the right people, the right time. They're just being
That's
there.
all the shit is. It's fucking stupid. I can't. Most people that are a fan of me are just a fan of Steve, and then they buy my movies. The number of people that see one of my movies and like the movie is way lower than just like, oh, this guy's funny.
What was that? I saw you did have a comment on your Facebook. I'm not sure if I quote it right or whatever, but what you say to people about how you made a bad movie to be funny, or it was so bad it was funny. What was that?
It's a pet peeve, and it's not just when it comes to my films. I think that way too many people think that something that is silly on purpose is bad, and I hate that. Like whenever I'd be on Reddit and I see like a thread of like, what's the worst movie you've ever seen that you love? And people are like, oh, Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I'm like, how the fuck is that a bad movie? Everything in that movie is fucking like geniusly put together to the utmost detail. Like you have to be a genius and a very skilled filmmaker to remake poorly made 70s martial arts films. And that's what Kung Pao did. But because it was silly, they're like, oh, this is bad. It's like saying Black Dynamite is a bad movie because you see the boom mic in a scene and completely miss the context of why that is there. So it always stings me personally as a creator. And, you know, people can say that I'm whining or anything. I don't care. I've been doing this long enough that I'm cynical and don't care. But it stings me when people say, oh, I loved Carousel because it was so bad it was good. And, like, I wasn't making a bad movie. I was trying to make a good movie. Like, if you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not arguing against that. Mm-hmm. It's just like, this is just a funny, silly movie. That doesn't mean it's bad. Similarly, the people say, like, oh, he tried too hard to make a bad movie, so I don't like it. Again, I wasn't trying to make The Room. I wasn't trying to make a movie that wasn't self-aware on purpose. I just like funny horror movies, so I made a funny horror movie. And it definitely, and again, it's not just for me. I see it with a lot of other movies where anyone making a comedy feels like they're fighting an uphill battle to kind of like, for that genre to be taken seriously, and I don't understand why. Like, no one's watching Airplane saying like, oh yeah, this movie's a piece of shit. I love it. Like, no, it's a funny movie. It's a funny movie and it's making you laugh. I don't understand the disconnect here.
Right.
It's not like I made Carousel and said, yeah, this is the fucking ultimate and pure horror. This is going to scare the shit out of you. And it's the same movie. Then people would be right. Then people would be like, yeah, this movie missed the fucking mark. It's awful because of that. It's funny, but it's not supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But like, this and many other movies are meant to be funny. So that's a personal thing. It's not a make or break. I'm not losing any sleep over it. But from time to time, I'll complain about that shit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I could definitely tell going into it. It's meant to be funny. It's meant to entertain.
I don't understand how anyone watches Duke float away and say, oh, this is a really serious horror film. Like, that alone, I don't get. I feel like it's a very obvious comedy, but I've had a few people being like, oh, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be funny. I was like,
is this a drama? I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong, entertainment is extremely subjective. Their interpretations is always going to be extremely subjective, and for the most part, there is no wrong interpretation or opinion. At the same time, I don't understand how people would see this and not see that it's a comedy. Like, I feel like it's very obvious, and I don't understand it, and it confuses me. But that just goes to show you can never be sure with your audience.
Let's see. Mike just said that he's enjoyed every movie of yours he has watched. They're all great fun, and just the name screams funny.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it.
So we talked about movies. Any television series you into right now, or?
I am not into TV shows. I'm not into long form storytelling. That is completely subjective, completely personal. It is extremely difficult for me to get into a series. Most of the time, whenever there's a series, I watch the whole season, and I'm like, that could have been an hour and a half or a 2 hour long movie. Why did I spend 10 goddamn hours watching this slow ass fucking story? Not every series is like that. Don't get me wrong. The most recent series that I really enjoyed was Doom Patrol, because it was both episodic but still with an overarching story, which is important. Because you got same recently. I like Star Trek. Next Generation and Deep Space Nine are two very different types of Star Trek, and I like Deep Space Nine way more because it's not just completely episodic. Nothing matters in the next episode because we solved everything here. Deep Space Nine is like, oh yeah, Odo gave away his powers 13 episodes ago, and that's still a fucking problem. How is he still dealing with that every episode? And I like that way more. But again, at the same time, it's just rare for me to get into shows. Short answer.
All right. Let's see what else is going on. Nothing else in the chat there. Justin, anything else?
Nah, he's brought up a lot of things that, Star Trek, I'm a huge fan. Phantasm was a big one for me when you talked about that. Oblivion, yeah, I'm a big fanboy of Oblivion, so.
Love that one.
How about
got me.
actual,
You got me with that one.
Some paranormal shows or stuff, or anything paranormal in real life? Me and Justin, we were sort of having conversations a couple weeks ago, about ghosts and maybe getting some people like that on the show. What is your take on ghosts and supernatural?
I don't want to alienate any of this room right now, but I am not a believer.
That's
right.
I do not think that they are real, or at least not in the sense that we can actually measure or see them or interact with them. I'm not saying that the supernatural doesn't exist. I'm just saying that I noticed that there's a whole lot less ghost pictures once everyone had an HD camera in their pocket. So again, it's nothing that I would firmly say you're a fucking idiot for believing this. I just don't.
Right.
So
that's what we were discussing. There's the reasons why, and then stuff that's been faked that's ridiculous that they try to pull off, and so yeah.
My go-to for the supernatural, at least when it comes to people that claim that they can see the dead, talk to the dead, whatever, is Harry Houdini. If ghosts exist, Harry Houdini would have proved it to us, because Harry Houdini was the biggest skeptic in an era where skeptics were very rare, and he promised fucking hold a seance every year. If there's any possibility that I can talk to you as a ghost, I will. And it's been a while, and he still hasn't talked to us.
Right.
I saw Mike just ask, what director do I enjoy? I already answered that mostly with my, Cherry, Rami, and Rodriguez answer. But I would say, as a modern director that I just enjoy, that I don't consider a fucking icon that I model myself after, just a director I enjoy. Honestly, Zack Snyder. And I know it's not popular to say on the internet, but I really enjoy how Zack has a very specific style. I like how he does not budge on that style. With how much hell and shit he has gotten for his slow-mo, another director would have stopped doing that years ago, and Zack basically pulled a Captain America and said, no, you move. This is what I do. I don't know what you want. Stop seeing my movies if you don't fucking like it. And I love that. And again, he's also he's a director that does the action and he does those set piece stuff, but he also still uses a lot of symbolism. He also still uses a lot of emotional character storytelling, which is kind of rare with the more big budget directors. And every single person that has ever worked with Zach loves Zach for the rest of their lives. Like, I've never seen another director in Hollywood that has so many actors, writers, people on set that will just, like, blow Zach. And not to get roles, because he doesn't always work with the same people. Just people that are, like, genuinely saying, like, I love this man. He's one of the best people I've ever worked with.
Yes.
And you don't hear that often with other directors. So I wish... Again, I know it's popular to hate Zack Snyder on the internet, but I definitely wish more independent directors looked at Zack and be like, why does everyone love this guy?
Yes.
Maybe he's a director's actor and I just don't like him subjectively as a fan. Maybe that doesn't mean he's a piece of shit like everyone treats him.
Right.
And let's see.
I like Zack Snyder.
Yes, definitely. On one of your posts also bragging about the PlayStation 5. What games you playing right now?
I tried Returnal, and that was a nightmare. I finished it, but it was not enjoyable. That game had a identity crisis with whether it wanted to be a roguelike or a roguelite or a Metroidvania, and I don't feel that it did any of those things especially well. I'm not going to say it was a bad game, but I will say that I am very sad that I spent $70 on it, and a lot of other people apparently agreed, because usually when I sell a game a month later when it's new, I never get less than like $10 or $15 less than what I paid for it, and Returnal was already like only $30 tops is what I got for that game. So a lot of people feel the same, it seems. It looked amazing. It sounded amazing. The haptic controller of the PS5 is fucking phenomenal. So the most recent thing that I played was Nier Replicant, which is the PS4 remaster. Now Aline is actually playing through Nier Automata, which is one of the most beautiful, amazing media experiences of my entire life, and it's the only video game that ever made me cry from happiness. So if you folks haven't played Nier Automata, you don't need to play Replicant, and Replicant's a little rough when it comes to its storytelling. You could just start with Automata, and then if you love it, play Replicant, and then play Automata again.
What's your opinion on retro gaming?
In what sense?
Just what's your opinion on NES? We'll take that for an example.
Well, I mean, in my upstairs is the PS5, the PS3, because there's no backwards compatibility for anything for the PS3, and my Switch, and my PC, obviously. But my basement has my NES, my Genesis, my 32X, my PS2, my Dreamcast, my NES Classic, and my SNES Classic.
Nice.
So I definitely also retro game, but I'm not like passionate about it. Like, it's not one of my. I barely do it. I'm gonna say that, but I do it enough where I don't want to sell all those consoles. I don't want to sell all those games. Don't get me wrong. If a game is worth a lot of money, I fucking dump that shit immediately. I sold Bucky O'Hare for the NES for like $300, and I didn't have the case and the manual.
Wow.
That game's gone. Like, I do not care. But then there's some games that I do passionately care about that I would never get rid of either, because it's like important to me emotionally, or it was a very important story for me at a certain point in my life, or even to this day. Like Xenogears at one point was reaching $200-$300, but Xenogears is my favorite game of all time, so that I will never sell. Even now, I mean, like, now that it's available digitally, so the prices fell, but even if the prices were still as high as they were, like, that's on my no-sell list. I'd have to be homeless completely to sell that game.
Right.
In your opinion, what is the epitome of horror game? Like the top of the list.
Oh, man. Alien Isolation scared me more than any fucking game. That is the game that I loved to hate the most. My asshole was as tight as it could be. I remember I was playing that game, and it was so tense and horrifying, and I was so uncomfortable, and I was loving it and hating it. I was like, okay, well, I'm on mission 8. There must be 2 more missions, and I look at the list, and it goes to 19. I'm like, fuck, god damn it, no. I still finished it, because, again, I loved it, and I hated it. And I think a big reason why that game maintained its horror so well, because for most part, games don't scare me. Or they'll scare me for like an hour, and then you learn the rules of the game, and it stops being scary. You know, a lot of people like to talk about how scary Outlast is, but after 45 minutes, you're like, oh, I just hide in this locker. no matter what the threat is, and I can't fight back anyway. So it's either instant fail and go back to a checkpoint, or I hide in a locker and sneak by. Alien Isolation doesn't give you that fucking comfort because it keeps changing the threat, and I think that works really fucking well.
Yeah.
So at no point are you like, oh, I know exactly what to expect, because you never do.
Right.
Second place is Friday the 13th for the NES.
Nice.
That
If
game
I was
is
going to
so fucking
recommend
horrifying.
any game to you, it would be Splatterhouse on the PS3.
I love Splatterhouse. It's just not what I would call a scary game.
No, but I think it fits your style very well.
Oh, it absolutely does. And I love Splatterhouse 1 through 3. Like I played Splatterhouse 1 on the TurboGrafx 16 plenty at my buddy's house, and then I have Splatterhouse 2 and 3 for the Genesis. So as soon as the one for the PS3 got released, I picked that up. And the ending's a little rough, but everything up to that point is absolutely wonderful, especially Jim Cummings as the Terror Mask. Holy shit, what a casting.
Oh, yeah.
I like when he accidentally turns into Tigger for like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Jim Cummings, that's a guy I would love to hire if I could afford him, but I would never be able to afford him.
Let's see. Yes, that became 2. No more comments there.
I would love to see a Splatterhouse movie. I should talk to
That
Sega.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
Talk to Sega, pay for the licensing rights.
Oh.
If you Bull can afford it, fucking... That's not true. He had millions of fucking dollars. Good for him. Honestly, good for him.
So what other video games would you like to see made into movies?
I mean, not many. I mean, for the most part, video game stories don't translate well into movies because so many video games are, I mean, arguably a form of long-form storytelling. It's just interactive, so I don't mind it as much as, say, a series. But, you know, it's hard to recommend a game which has 20 hours worth of story and interaction and saying, like, yeah, just cram that into 2 hours and boom, it'll be good. Like, you need games that actually have pretty light stories to turn into movies. Like, the original Mortal Kombat works so well because it's based on the first game, which story is there's a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Right.
Street Fighter could have a good movie. The anime movies for Street Fighter are fucking great.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I fucking love the Van Damme Street Fighter. Fucking love it. But it's not a very good Street Fighter movie because there's no Street Fighter tournament. There's nothing like that. Similarly, Tekken could be a good movie. I don't know what the hell happened there. And that upsets me because I love Tekken.
Mario Brothers. Oh my gosh.
That movie is a blast. That is a movie that the internet keeps telling me I should hate, but every time I watch it, I'm like, yeah, I like this. I still like this.
I heard they found some deleted scenes or something.
Or something. It's
or...
like 20 minutes longer on the new cut that they just released on like Blu-ray and shit, so I need that.
Yeah. I definitely want to see what they cut out. And like the way they ended it, like I was waiting for a sequel, like you got to come back, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, it didn't make the money. That happens all the time. I've learned to stop caring about that sort of thing, although it still makes me annoyed with cliffhanger endings.
Yeah, that's the thing when it doesn't continue on. But
a group that I love and I'm buddies with, Mega 64, they did a trailer for Friday the 13th, the game, the movie. And I recommend all horror video game fans watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. It's a fucking joy. It makes me smile the whole time. So we can get that into a feature-length adaptation. I think that'd be really good.
Okay, I'll check that out for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't... A lot of games that I like, I just don't think they'd be able to make into correct movies, or they did it almost, or it was close enough that I don't want them to try again because it's either going to feel like a retread or it's going to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Silent Hill 1 is like almost a great Silent Hill adaptation to the point of her doing insane, stupid shit to solve puzzles, which I never thought I'd see in a video game-based movie, and I love that they did that. But then at the same time, the guy like threw away all the interesting they're trying to resurrect God story to make it about burning a witch, which is way less interesting. And then the sequel super went out of its way to bring it back to the God story of the games, but it had to spend so much time doing that it wasn't able to make a good movie anywhere else. I'm glad that they tried. Honestly, like as a fan of the games, I was like, thanks for trying, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't nail that landing, but thank you. And like Resident Evil has enough fucking movies; they're just in CGI, so some people don't count that.
Yeah. Well, they're supposed to be doing a another
Yep.
series of it, and then another movie's coming out also. So yeah, I think Netflix is supposedly
That's what I've heard.
thing.
Well, the CG series is basically just another CG movie, except in series format. So if you like the other Capcom CG movies, you're probably going to like this series. If you didn't like those, you're probably going to like this series. So I'm curious what the internet's going to feel about that, because I know what to expect based on seeing the other CG movies. I don't think that many people saw those that are going to watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, they do have the new trailer for He-Man 2 came up, or Masters of the Universe that Kevin Smith is working on. They finally showed that first trailer dropped.
Phenomenal trailer. Kevin Smith is a coin flip for me, so we'll see how that coin lands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So, should be interesting. I'll check that out, and I'm looking forward to the Fear Street 2 coming out. They're doing 3 movies of that, so
I did hear about that.
So, I don't know if you're an R.L. Stine fan or not, but
I mean, I respect what RL has done. Even when I was a kid, I wasn't that into Goosebumps or Fear Street or any of that stuff, but I liked horror, so I was just happy to see horror in the mainstream, and especially horror for kids. I have a huge soft spot for family horror. I love that shit. It's one of the biggest motivations of why I made a Meowie Halloween. My career, most of the year, is hardcore gore, violence, nudity, swearing, R-rated horror. So when October rolls around and everyone else is watching that, I'm watching Ernest Scared Stupid and Hocus Pocus and Paranorman. Like, that's what I enjoy watching in October.
Mm-hmm. Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a goddamn Christmas movie.
Yep.
Nightmare Before Christmas literally starts on November 1st. That's the first scene of the fucking movie, is them singing about how awesome Halloween was. Remember Halloween a few hours ago, guys? That was neat. It's over now. Oh, well.
364 more days.
Exactly. It's fucking... Like, it's a Halloween aesthetic, don't get me wrong, but it ain't a Halloween movie. The entire movie's about Christmas.
Right.
It just stars spooky characters. Does that mean the fucking Christmas Carol's a Halloween movie? No, fuck you. It's a ghost story, but it's a Christmas movie. God damn it. Mike, I would say Die Hard 1 is a Christmas movie because of how much of the plot is focused around Christmas and the fact that they needed to do Christmas in this Christmas party for the building to be empty, for the streets to be empty, and in order to delay the FBI, in addition to like the themes and messages that are related to Christmas and family. I would say that Die Hard 2, by comparison, I don't really consider a Christmas movie. The only Christmas related thing of Die Hard 2 is the date it takes place and the fact that the airport is busy. I think what defines a Christmas movie is how much of the themes in the story is based around Christmas. Similarly, like if we want to go with superhero examples, Shazam is absolutely a Christmas movie. Iron Man 3 is absolutely not a fucking Christmas movie for the same reasons. Shazam's all about family and giving and a lot of focus on Christmas in the season.
Right.
Iron Man 3 has like a Christmas song, and then at the end he's like, oh, here's your Christmas present, Pepper, with no Christmas in between.
Yeah, that's not...
Awesome answers.
Oh, I'll fucking
yeah.
talk about Christmas for hours. You can fucking get me started. I ain't gonna stop.
So Christmas starts for right after Halloween for you, right?
And that's only because Aline is a huge Halloween fiend, so I hold back as much as I can, and when she's out of the house, I listen to Christmas music. Don't tell her. But like it's 12:01 a.m.
You
November
start decking
1st.
those halls,
I'm
right?
tearing the fucking tombstones down, putting up the reindeer. My house is fully decorated by like November 5th.
So what do you think of the Caesars and Auto Christmas? I'm assuming you might have watched that.
No, what the heck is that?
Oh, you haven't watched that one?
No.
Caesar. Well, it's the Wild Eye movie, and it's about these two brothers, and they do a Halloween one, they do a Christmas one, and they do a camp one that Felissa Rose is actually in. Also,
Okay.
They make fun of sleepaway camp a little bit, but it's it's just called Caesar and Otto. So
I'll look
it's
it up then. Yeah.
Caesar's and Otto's Deadly Xmas Christmas. Yeah.
Okay. I'll check
Oh
it
my
out.
God, it's hilarious, and they have so many like different horror actors cameos in it. It's great.
And they did Halloween Christmas camp. I wonder if Caesar and Otto will go to jail next.
That would be interesting. I don't know. Their dad is like pretty much a criminal, and it's hilarious all the stuff he does. But yeah, check it out. I think the camp one was first, but I don't think it really matters which one you watch. But they sort of like say, "Oh, I worked at a camp before," so it is sort of like a trilogy. But the Christmas one is really funny though. If you like Christmas, definitely check it out.
I will say I definitely prefer movies where the order absolutely works. I don't like series where it's just like, oh, you can just watch them in any order. It doesn't matter. Like I like story progression when it's a series. As dumb and ridiculous and cheap as they are, the Meowie movies have very important story arcs and progression throughout all of them. To the point where like a random stranger reached out to me on Twitter and be like, it's insane how much continuity there is in the fourth Meowie movie compared to any other talking animal movie, and I love that you've done this. I did the same thing with Carousel 2. My cinematographer was talking to me about it, like while we were shooting. He's just like, there's so much stuff that is actually directly connected to Carousel 1 and calls back to Carousel 1, that if anyone only sees Carousel 2, will they still like the movie as much? And I feel I made it in a way that someone who hasn't seen Carousel 1 would still be entertained by Carousel 2. But at the same time, this is absolutely a part 2. And I can't imagine what someone would think if they were watching 2 on its own without seeing 1 with how many callbacks there are. Mm-hmm. Like, there's an entire... Again, you've read the first part of the script, already said Miss Lawrence is in part 2. Mm-hmm. Duke and Miss Lawrence are talking. Miss Lawrence is talking directly to Duke about how her 2 kids died and they don't know how. And Duke is just like... Yeah, it sounds awful, man. I don't know what happened there.
That's a monster.
Yeah. And if you didn't see Carousel 1, you have no idea why that scene is awkward for Duke.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And there's a lot of that in part 2, but I like that sort of thing. I never need it to be a literal, it's impossible to follow the story. But at the same time, if I'm not being rewarded for following the entire story, it kind of feels like a waste.
Mm-hmm. So the correct order for the Meowies is the Meowie Christmas, and then it's the Halloween second, and then St. Patrick Day, and then the return or vacation one or whatever.
Christmas Vacation, yeah.
Christmas Vacation. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
Because that Meowie Christmas kind of started to spite a awful talking animal franchise called The Dog Who Saved Blank. It starts with Christmas, and it's the most milquetoast, horrible, shitty, boring ripoff of Home Alone that I've ever seen, except they clearly had like $1 million fucking to make this movie, and that makes me mad. So then we kind of did our own thing for Halloween and St. Patrick's Day and got weird with it and fun, and then we were getting the most weird and insane for part 4 as one last punch to The Dog Who Saved Christmas's balls. Bill and I said, oh, they double dipped and made The Dog Who Saved Christmas and then later made The Dog Who Saved Christmas Vacation. So we should just call this one a Meowie Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
And also, that way, anyone searching for the movie Christmas Vacation on Amazon, I pop up. And boy, did that work. Holy shit, did that work.
Snuck on in there, all right.
Marketing, it's like 90% of independent filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm gonna, like I said, I watched the first one, and I'll be checking out the rest. I enjoyed it. So.
Thank you. And for those of you watching at home that want to check out my films, of course, if you want to buy them physically, silverspotlightfilms.com. That has all the DVDs, Blu-rays, signed scripts, the deck building game, posters, the vinyl album that I released as a soundtrack for my 10th anniversary of making movies. It has all the vocal themes on side A, and then on side B, it has the composer's like favorite tunes that he's made over the past decade for all the movies. And if you want to check out all my movies without buying 11 fucking movies, I understand. Head over to stevebuster.com, where for $2.99 a month, you can get digital links to everything that I've made. That's every movie, every short, every bonus feature, originals that I made for the service, and also HD re-releases of old stuff that I made before my career, such as VG Spoofs and the online series I made with Henry Kuto, Two is a Crowd. Both got HD re-releases only on Steve Buster. So if you want to check that out as a way to check out all of my stuff without spending over $100, which again, I understand, that's the next best way to support me. Since again, Prime pays 1 cent per hour streamed, and Tubi is better than Prime, but not that much. Enough that I like Tubi more, but not enough that I'd rather you subscribe to SteveBuster.com, as in Blockbuster.
Go ahead and repeat that, Steve. I guess Mike wants to know the website. He said he's going to go broke from this website.
Again, Mike, you already know silverspotlightfilms.com, but also stevebuster.com. That's Steve, Steve, Buster, BUSTER.com. Bustin' makes me feel good. And that's the one with, and also an important thing to note about Steve Buster is that you can keep all the digital links forever. It's not like a subscription service where when you unsubscribe, you lose everything. You can bookmark and save the links as direct links and watch them after the fact. All I ask is please don't fucking share them. Like, holy shit, guys. I'm trying so hard to like give you so much stuff for as little as possible. Please don't share my shit with people that can't even give me $3 fucking. That's my only request. Is that fair? I think that's fair.
That's the thing. I mean, people got to support it. If we enjoy it and want to see more of it, we got to help out. I mean,
thank you.
Exactly.
And then if you don't even want to do that, the best way to support me legally next is, of course, a lot of my movies are on Tubi. A lot of my movies are on Prime Video. Some of them are included with Prime, or like if they're on Tubi, they're free if you watch it with the ads. And some of the stuff is on Prime if you spend like 99 cents or $1.99 to rent it outright, but they aren't included in Prime anymore, which isn't my call. Amazon is just losing its fucking mind with how it treats smaller movies, even bigger movies. I know distributors and larger studios that have also been like, they just threw away 50 of our fucking movies. There goes all of our profits for the next year. What the fuck? With no recourse or anything. But I guess Jeff Bezos needed a third jet, so billionaires, they're hurting too, I guess.
Not to go back in the conversation, but you said that you do acting for Spider-Man. How do you keep physically fit?
I mean, I was already someone that kept relatively physically fit. I didn't put too much focus into it, but I just wanted. My dad always had a gut, and I didn't want to have that feature specifically. And especially because of like his heart problems more so than just the visual reason for it. And then when I got the Spider-Man gig, I got the part and I looked okay in the spandex, but I was like, I could look better. So from there on, I just started hitting the gym way more. So I'm usually at the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not a gym rat. I'm only there for like an hour when I go. 2 days of the week, I'll do weights. I do full body, so that way everything gets a workout. I'm kind of keeping even with everything. I'm not just ignoring my legs. I'm not ignoring my abdomen, not ignoring my arms. I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, and a professional trainer will be like, no, just do your biceps today or whatever the fuck. I'm too lazy for that. But I'm not lazy enough to not be doing this for like 7 straight fucking years at this point, not missing a week unless I was literally physically ill, or I don't know if you guys heard, there was a viral pandemic that shut down the world. I wasn't able to go to the gym during that. And then like 1 day a week, I will jog on the treadmill where I try to do like a mile in 8 minutes. And I usually try to go for 3 straight miles without stopping, which according to some people, that's super fast. And according to other people, I have room for improvement. I don't care. I'm just doing that to keep my cardio up. Again, for the performance aspect of it, because there's so much jumping and like up and down and talking to kids and doing the action stuff that you need to have good cardio for that. So between all of that, I stay in pretty good shape. In addition to the fact that I try to watch what I eat, I don't go nuts with junk or sugar. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fucking cookie fiend. I love cookies, and especially during December. November is my weakest time because white fudge Oreos come out, and one of those cookies is 100 calories, and I eat those by the box. So I have to be very careful during Christmas. And the biggest thing is that I, for the most part, with some exceptions, USA, I don't drink calories. That's the biggest thing. I drink water. I drink like green tea with like something sugar-free to sweeten it. But otherwise, I do not drink calories, and that's a big thing because your body doesn't really know how to process liquid calories. It freaks the fuck out when you drink liquid that has a lot of calories in it. So between that, eating kind of right, and just staying physically active, again, going to the gym, but also just day-to-day doing shit. I have a yard. I have a pool above ground, but a pool, so I'm able to like swim in that every day, even if it's just a little bit, just to do something, getting up and moving. All that over years just adds up. And let me just say, according to other people, they like the payoff. So you're welcome, world. If you would like to see me wear spandex and be shirtless, head over to Instagram @darkmullet.
I lost goals. That's why I brought it up.
Cool.
Yeah, so I would say if you want to, like, just reshape your body, you don't have to be. Nothing has to be perfect. You don't have to change your world. You don't have to change your life. It's just about getting start. You need to get started in the kitchen. And I know that's
my downfall was drinking calories.
Yeah. If you're able to stop drinking calories, and again, that's not to say you can't do it at all. I still drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And those are calories. There's no 0-calorie booze to my knowledge that's like, even vodka has calories, and that's like nothing.
Even the non-alcoholic has calories.
Exactly. But if you're able to just cut down majorly on the calories, which I see you're doing, just cut down just the amount that you eat, not what you eat, just the amount. And then once you get into that where it's regular, then start going to the gym. Or if you don't want to do the gym, get into like physical exercise around the house to the point where it is normal for you.
Yeah.
It's not everyone, but so many times I'll get asked, like, how do you have the motivation to go to the gym? Like, how are you able to make yourself go? And in my brain, it's just like, I don't make it's just what I do. Like, it's just like, oh, it's every other day, time to go to the gym for an hour. Like, it's just part of my routine. It's not something I need motivation to do. It's not something that I force myself to do. I just go and I do it, and that's it. And then I finish, and that's that. And that's hard. That's the hard part. But once it becomes routine, and you don't have to go nuts. You don't have to like kill yourself doing it, so long as you're doing something in terms of starting the process. And then over time, you can push yourself, do more weights, do longer on the run. I sure as fuck didn't start 8 minutes a mile for 3 miles when I started jogging. It was like 10 minutes and I was dead. But
I could do a third of a mile in 8 minutes.
Honestly, that's good. If you keep doing that, and then can I get to a half a mile in 10 minutes? Can I get to a mile in 10 minutes? And like, don't push that. As soon as like, it's a tightrope. You need to push yourself a little bit, otherwise there's no improvement. But at the same time, never hurt yourself.
Right.
No pain, no gain can go fuck itself. And you're going to feel sore the next day. Feel sore the next day. You should not be hurting while you're doing it. I'll say that, at least personally.
Yeah.
Yes, Mike, Steve Busters isn't OnlyFans because OnlyFans lets me keep more of my money than Patreon does. And also, Patreon has some weird rules about nudity. And although none of my stuff is pornography, since there's nudity in the horror films, there is always that chance that Patreon could completely delete my account if they notice that any of my movies have nudity in them. So I'm on OnlyFans, which is honestly a great website for creators. It's just thanks to the fact that they don't have Puritan rules about nudity, it has become a haven for sex workers and nude models, which good for them. Fuck yeah.
I was going to say, since you sort of mentioned the pandemic, how did that affect the filming of Carousel 2?
Okay, well, the pandemic is... First of all, I made Meowie 3 and 4 back-to-back in 2019 with the plan to release both of them in 2020 because I kept on saying, man, I wish I could take a year off from filmmaking. I wish I can go a whole year without having to worry about making a movie. Sorry, Earth, for that monkey's paw that I used. But when Aline and I started, because people have been pushing for Carousel 2 for a long time. But it was always that case, between the distributor, taking their cut. And, Carousel 1 had a budget of $15,000, which is not that much. But we weren't able to sell it for a couple of years because Wild Eye picked it up in 2017 but didn't release it until 2019. And with Wild Eye taking their cut, we still haven't seen a check, never mind a profit on this. And like, you can't make a sequel when the first one isn't making a fucking profit. So at one point, my friend and fellow filmmaker Ben Deedles of BPO Films, outright, when we were like on the way to a Marvel gig or something, and he said, like, you know, dude, you should just fucking do a Kickstarter. Say, if you want this sequel, you fuckers pay for it, and if they don't pay for it, you shut them up. I was like, yeah, you're right. It came from spite. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna lie, but I wanted to make sure we had a script first, because I didn't want to like launch a Kickstarter, then get the money, and then have to deal with the stress of like, oh fuck, now I need to write a whole movie, then I got to do all this shit. Like, no, I wanted something to be able to sell to the fans before we made the Kickstarter. So because any time I write a script, I make it. If I just have an idea, I don't need to write the script. It can go back into the ether. It doesn't matter. But when Aline and I started writing the script, we started writing the script in March of 2020. And at that point, we still weren't quite sure how bad things were going to get, but I'm a pessimist. So even then I was saying, we should write this to have as few characters in the same scene on the same location as possible, in case this is still going badly in a year and we need to keep people safe. I unfortunately was right. But fortunately, because of that, we wrote the script in such a way that we were able to maintain a sense of keeping people apart and not cramming, like Carousel 1. We didn't cram 20 fucking people into one room. We didn't do that in this film. This film is like a group of like 3 characters, a group of 2 characters, a group of 3 characters. And we were able to, when we got to shooting, fortunately, most of us were vaccinated. A couple people only had 1 shot, and a couple people didn't get a vaccination yet. But thanks to most of us being vaccinated, and we enforced masks on set when we were indoors in a small location, and we, for the most part, isolated pretty well once we got to set. And we had a ton of fucking sanitizer everywhere, and I personally cleaned the fucking factory with my own fucking hands the day before we started shooting, because that place was filthy, and I didn't want to make my like cast and crew be in that filth, and made sure that the sinks were clean and that the soap was fresh and that there was new paper towels so no one had to share a towel. Everything that I could do with a low budget, I did. And I don't know how much of it is because of me. I don't know how much of it is because of the vaccine. Probably more so the vaccine, but no one that worked on Carousel 2 got COVID. Like 2 weeks later, everyone was still healthy. No one had any ailment. No one had any like symptoms. Everyone was still clear, and I'm so thankful for that, because it would have kept me up at night if this dumb fucking comedy horror movie that isn't that important in the grand scheme of things would have hurt someone. Like if I would have gotten one of my cast or crew sick,
right,
and who knows who they would have gotten sick, that would have kept me up for days, and I would have fucking cried. I would have been like, I'm an idiot. Why did I fucking make this movie? But fortunately, again, between the vaccine and what we were able to do, hopefully it just added up and everyone stayed safe.
All right. So
cool.
Oh, that's a good thing there. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And now we're going to have a movie to deliver this year. So we were able to like work on it. We were able to get it out at the tail end, at the tail end of this pandemic, when, other studios were struggling to make anything. And who fucking knows? Because that was the other thing too. Like there was a moment where I sat down and said, should we even make this right now, or should we wait?
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, we didn't know if it was ever going to be over.
Right.
But we were the script was in a way that it was a low enough number of people that I felt not comfortable, but it was a case where like the risk isn't 0, but I do feel that the risk is so low that if we wait, we may be waiting forever. So let's just try this. And if everyone's comfortable with it, we'll go for it. And everyone wanted to go for it, and we did it. And again, we lucked out that so many states were already like allowing the vaccine to be accessed by so many people by the time we were shooting. That was luck. That was not fucking planned, because we had to pay for our dates and like the factory and everything well ahead of time. And it worked out. So I don't know. Thanks, Zeus, who for looking out for us, or whoever it was.
Zeus, God, Allah, whoever you may be.
Right.
It's all the same price.
Thank you, Duke.
Awesome.
Dude, yeah. What was that movie? The something lie or I can't remember what it was, but he called it guy.
The Invention of Lying?
The Man in the Sky. What was that movie? I can't remember.
Are you talking about The Invention of Lying?
That was probably it. Yes. No, I don't think it was that one. Was it?
Okay, then I'm not sure which.
It could be. It could be Invention of Lying. When he's talking about God,
Because he's the guy. He like in the movie he invents heaven.
That's what.
So
it
I thought
is,
that's
the
yeah.
Man in the Sky. Yeah, that's.
His mother's dying, so he's just like,
Exactly.
yeah. When you die, you go to a paradise, and then he accidentally creates religion.
Yeah, that's it. It was the Invention of Lying. You're right. All right.
All right. Anything else, or should we wrap this up?
Nothing in the comments. It looks like so. Just the Steve Buster was the last question. So yeah, I think we're good. Oh, hold on, Mike. Let's see, Steve. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. If I ever get the chance to meet you at a convention or somewhere, I will be there. I did send you a message and a friend request on Facebook.
All right.
Yeah.
I will accept both of those, Mike. Thank you for the support. It honestly means a lot to me. And again, to like those of you listening, we're not making money on this, but we think this is really fun. So if you like my movies and want to play a weird game, it's an option.
So, like I said, I got mine ordered. So.
I can't wait to keep playing it with fans and see what other people think, honestly. So. I think you'll enjoy. These are made on demand, so I will say that like the movie, if you order a movie from me, I'm shipping it out to you like the next day. With these, it takes like a couple of weeks to produce this. But then as soon as it's produced, I pay for the first class shipping, so you get it like 2 days later. So,
wow.
So yeah, Mike
Cool.
got his too. So it looks like a couple of us here already got them. So.
Fantastic.
And I'll be spreading the word too, of course. So I'm definitely
appreciate
whatever
that.
you do,
Yes.
I will support you 100%. So.
Well, again, if you folks want to check me out, silverspotlightfilms.com, facebook.com/silverspotlightfilms, stevebuster.com, on Instagram @darkmullet, and keep an eye out. Carousel 2, we're aiming to get out this year by fall, hopefully. So long as there's no, I don't want to promise a date because anything can happen in terms of editing, like something can not work or something, but there's no reason why this should not be out before 2022. I just don't want to give a specific day yet for Carousel the second.
Right.
But
it'll be a Christmas surprise, baby. No.
It is. The movie starts at Christmas time because I'm a fucking insane person and no one can stop me. No one can stop me. I was literally like, oh, wait, we're going to start shooting. Oh, why can't the movie start at Christmas? Steve, didn't you just make a Christmas movie? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Mike says he's got a cart of silver, a cart full on silver spotlights. So.
But I will also say that a couple of potential producers have been talking to me about making movies for them. I don't want to share too much details or information on that before they are able to share the details, or in the terms of one producer, he's just waiting on getting money, and then once he gets the money, the movie can start moving ahead in terms of like writing and coming up with the real concepts and stuff.
Cool.
So that movie will eventually exist, but I don't know when. The other one actually has a plan for when it wants to be announced. So I'll just say keep an eye on the Silver Spotlight Facebook page, my Facebook page. It's my own personal account, but I do post publicly. So even if we aren't friends, you can see everything that I post. And maybe within a couple of months there'll be some announcement for that movie, which, if that comes together, it's going to be, I don't want to say the most unique thing that I've done because I made 4 talking cat movies, but it's a little different from what I usually do. So I hope that works out because I would love to make it.
All right. Well, best of luck on that, and
Thank you.
definitely keep an eye out on those pages and share it out.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for having me on the show. This was a blast.
It was. Thank you for staying
Appreciate
the
it.
whole time. So that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Maybe we'll see you again. Have a good one.
Maybe. Get me back on to talk about Carousel the Second.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Have a good one.
Bye, everyone.
Definitely. Can't wait.
I'm waiting.
So. All right. So, Patrick, I guess that'll be it for that. Oh, was he still on there? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if he was still on or not. All right.
Right.
So that was a fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Had some interesting
Very
stories and stuff there.
entertaining guy for sure. I like him.
Yeah. All right. Well,
cool.
myself, I got to work tomorrow. So, and I think isn't tonight the night Coast to Coast?
I'm
also
actually off
comes on
tomorrow. Thank
later.
God.
So,
I got to go pick up medications.
all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head
So-
out too. So, thanks for joining
Yeah, I'll
us,
jump on the
Mike.
Coast to Coast here in a
Sticking
little bit.
around.
All right, you guys. Bye-bye.
See you, Hobbs.
Bye.
See you, man.
Oh, there's Hobbs.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to head off, Hobbs, but yeah, thanks for checking it out.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
And everyone else who had
That was a lot of fun.
put in their questions, and people who are going to be checking out the replay. And so,
Yes.
anything else, Justin?
I went ahead and sent. I went ahead and sent Steve a friend request on Facebook as well. See if he knows if it's me or not. I'm under Justin on that one. So, but yeah, but I liked it. That was very, very. I enjoyed it a lot. He was a fun interview. Cool guy.
Yeah,
There's a lot to
definitely.
say. It was a lot of fun.
Like he said, there's probably not much to know about him. He just likes to talk. That's for sure.
Yeah. Hey, I like that. Let him
Hey, that's
talk.
fine with me. That's cool. He
Heck
stayed
yeah.
almost the whole 2 hours. That's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
he did. I thought he was gonna be
So-
on there for like an hour or so, but he kept
That's
going,
what I
so
said.
that
I'm like,
was
well, we
nice.
got our hour if you want to stick
Yeah.
around or whatever. And he just
That
kept
was-
on going. So
That was
hey.
nice of him. That's for sure. Cool. This is a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you joined and everybody
Yes, sir.
else. And so until next week, I'm going to go ahead and end this because I do
Okay.
have work tomorrow. So,
Gotcha. I don't blame you.
all right. Have a good night.
You too, man.
All right. Bye.